Hello and welcome to the show. In this episode, I'm going to be looking at the one and only Sampha. Are there any artists you want me to cover? Drop a comment below and let's make it happen for future episodes. The first time a lot of people probably heard of Sampha was on Saint Pablo, where he had a phenomenal verse and chorus thanks to Kanye. In a Beats One interview with Pharell, he talks about how working with Kanye and talking about life in hip-hop gave himself the confidence to realize his own vision. He had to come out of his shell a bit. In addition to Kanye, Sampha has continued to work with huge names over the years such as Beyonce, Frank Ocean, Solange, Lil Wayne and Drake. Yeah, okay, Sampha isn't going to sell out the largest stadiums in the world on his own, but he's worked with genre-defining people. Think about that. Genre-defining people, Beyonce, Frank Ocean, Solange, Lil Wayne, Drake, etc. From a musical journey point of view and the experiences that he's had, he's technically won the game of the music industry. Now, if you asked me to summarize Sampha in 2 words, and that's a really difficult thing to do, the 2 words I would pick would be soulful and mellow. Listen, if you've never heard of Sampha before this video, or even if you've heard a little bit, I implore you, go watch his live performance of 100 Degrees Plastic on Fader. You'll see what I mean. And it fascinates me because he actually grew up as the youngest of 5 brothers, where influences included drum and bass, Pavarotti, UK garage, James Brown and more. Basically everything. So he's heard a ton of music as a whole throughout his life and he's collaborated with some of the best. And guess what? Yeah, he's won the Mercury Prize in 2017. Listen, he got a standing ovation when he won that in 2017, and that was with people like Skepta in the room. You don't get that unless you've contributed to music as a whole and people know you. Now, he's got a small discography, but when you listen to his tracks, you instantly hear his unique voice and his intricate production, which is heavily layered with electronic sounds, and that's quite rare. Fantano actually mentions in his review of Process that Sampha knows when to put vocals at the forefront and then pull them back. And he does the same for instruments as well. It's like Sampha understands and knows exactly why he's chosen certain things. Listen to the drone at the start and end of Blood on Me. It's hypnotic and robotic. But later on he's heavily breathing and screaming in the verses and running out of breath. You feel the lulling melody at the start, and then that sense of desperation when he's running out of breath hits you. Being anxious and paralyzed, that's what this song is really about, as Sampha annotates on Genius. Think about it, what do you feel when feeling trapped? A sense of desolation as your heart starts to pound. It's a pretty visceral feeling, and the drum track's drum machine beat he's using tries to mimic that. Some of Sampha's earlier collaborations were brilliant too. Subtract, for example, is an English producer who Sampha collaborated with, involving house, garage and dubstep style production. Yeah, it's pretty far from what I've covered so far, but have a listen of Sampha's collaborations with him, you might be surprised, because those tracks are significantly more upbeat and they have your head moving. Sampha here definitely demonstrates his range and ability to match the energy of whatever he is on. Honestly, if you're a fan of his slow ballad work, No One Knows Me Like the Piano, you may not be a fan of Subtract's work because they're so different, but the truth is, they're unique in their own way and they're definitely able to contrast and complement each other. But speaking of No One Knows Me Like the Piano, it's actually one of his more important tracks from his album Process. What some people may not know is that Process actually was a turbulent period for Sampha. In 1998, Sampha's dad actually died of lung cancer when he was 9 years old. When his mother Binti was diagnosed with lung cancer in 2010, he became a primary caregiver. I can only imagine a situation where both of your parents are people who experience cancer. It must be a horrendous kind of period to go through. As Binti's cancer went into remission in 2012, he began to collaborate with Drake, Kanye and Solange, as I mentioned earlier. However, after these collaborations, he was done and he wanted to work on solo projects, including Process. Everyone was waiting for Sampha to release this. Fans like me were eager to hear what he could come up with after his work with Subtract and his previous EPs. Sadly, in late 2014, her cancer returned, and in 2015, Binti Sisay passed away. Process released in 2016, a year later, and was a simple 10-track album that packed different themes and was well worth the wait in my eyes. Melodies and textures, Those are the two standouts for me from this album. Think about it, melodies and textures. Even the vocal embellishments in the intro of Plastic 100 Degrees C or Under really do give me goosebumps every single time I listen to them. Now, you know when you hear a song, but you don't care about half the sounds on there? Yeah, that does not happen on this album. And that is pretty special, because a lot of albums released nowadays tend to have a fair amount of filler on them. Every single track on Process was produced with such a keen eye. The use of the many drums, synths, strings or vocals are easy to keep track of, but at the same time, it feels natural. Sampha on this project just delves into pure emotion, and that's what the melodies and textures are there for, what someone can feel. I know, it's not clear at first as there are a lot of simple metaphors lyrically, and he's not direct in his meaning. Cora Sings, for example, is about the story of a mother, Cora, weeping over her child, while Incomplete Kisses is about love needing to be spontaneous. What I Shouldn't Be, the final track on the album, is pretty relatable. Sampha here speaks about the person he's become versus the person other people wanted him to become. It's a song that questions our purpose in life and how we're affected by what people expect of us. And that is definitely something anyone could relate to. I could go on and on about the many other concepts on Process, but it's a phenomenally straightforward album, even if at first it's difficult to interpret, where each line brings a new question into play. After this video ends, also go see the performance of Treasure on The Late Late Show. You won't be disappointed. Also, please remember to watch 100 Degrees Plastic by Fader. Sampha is someone I'll be curious about for a long time. Not only is his voice incredibly unique, but I don't think we'll hear such a sonic and perfect mix of electronic and soul in a way that he has for a long time.